Tank Dell steals the show in the Texans preseason opener. How good can this guy be? Should you consider drafting him in fantasy? The perfect comparison for him and his peers speak. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Hey, locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localize every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too. Landlocked. Got the game in the headlock. Localize every time. Can't stop.
Welcome to the locker room, number one source for Texans daily digital content. I'm Landry Locker. You can hear me Monday through Friday, 10 to 2, Sports Radio 610 and the Odyssey app. If you're new to the channel, appreciate you for coming through. Subscribe, whether you're a Texans fan or not. Best place to come to get the pulse of what's going on with the Texans. If you're returning, appreciate you for coming back. Texans win their preseason opener 20-9. That's always secondhand. The result of preseason games is not necessarily what you focus on when you break these types of things down. There's always stuff inside the game that in the big scheme of things can mean more than the actual result. And the biggest takeaway for me from this preseason game, and something that could be something really keep a close eye on, is Tank Dell. 5 catches, 65 yards, a touchdown for Tank Dell. And quite frankly, he could have had over 100 yards. Davis Mills misfired on a slant that he had running room there. He threw it behind him kind of low. And then on the sideline, Davis Mills missed him as well, and he probably would have had more yards. So he is already the player of the game, but it could have been a lot more impressive than it was, and it was extremely impressive. Now, should the touchdown have counted or not? Did he have a body part out of bounds? I don't know, but they counted it, and regardless, it was an impressive play by Tank Dell. The question I have, though, is how good can Tank Dell be? Before we get into this, and I want you to tell me how you feel. How good do you feel that Tank Dell can be? And I also think I have the perfect comp for Tank Dell. I think we've finally gotten this. A lot of people throwing out a lot of names. I think I have the perfect comp for Tank Dell. But before we do that, let's hear from some of his teammates and some of his peers. This is CJ Stroud talking about what he sees in Tank Dell and what he saw specifically in the play of the night, the touchdown in which he stayed in bounds, allegedly, somehow.
Yeah, that's just a glimpse of what he can do. I mean, he showed so much already in camp. So, I think me and him kind of have a natural connection. Of course, going all the way back into the combine, me and him have early conversations, and now fast forward, we're on the same team. And that play was a great release, good ball by Davis, back shoulder. And there's a good focus because it always is different when you're out there. It's not going to just be catch, touchdown. It's going to be bang, bang. And he kept with it, which I'm really happy for him. And he made a lot of good plays. So he's a great player, and I can't wait to see what we do together.
I'm really starting to wonder if Tank Dell is someone that's worth taking in your fantasy draft. I know fantasy drafts are starting. We got a few weeks of fantasy drafts. A lot of times when you have a receiving core like the Texans, especially when you get in the mid to late rounds, you start to say, well, I want to find someone who's going to lead his team in receiving. So far in camp, Tank Dell has been the best receiver. From beginning to end, Tank Dell has been the best receiver. He really started separating himself last week. In the scrimmage, he was the best player on the field. And we talked about that. And at this point, he's lining up everywhere. He doesn't seem to be a one-trick pony. He looks like a guy who could be like a 60-catch guy immediately. I know that sounds crazy, but if you think about it, like a 60-catch guy, what is that? I mean, we're looking at 4 catches a game, a little less than 4. I could easily see him doing that in this offense, and they're going to get creative with him. And he just seems to be one of those types of playmakers. Here's Davis Mills, who threw the ball to him when he made the play. Here's Davis Mills talking about what he sees in Tank Dell.
Yeah, he's great. Electrifying. I think that's the best word to describe him. He's going to make guys miss in tight windows, and when he catches a short pass, he's going to try to score anywhere he gets it on the field, I think. I mean, just thinking in my head, I know there are a couple more plays where I could have given him a better accurate ball that it was a catch and he might have fallen down, but if I bring it up 6 inches, he can catch it and hit him in stride, and I mean, who knows what he'll do with the ball in his hands. So it's exciting having a guy like that on the edge who you never know what's going to happen, but he's a big play guy.
And I thought it was really kind of just one of those small things, one of those small observations when Mills threw the ball low to him. You saw Tank Dell getting up and saying, hey, get it up, throw it up, get me the ball. The fact that a rookie in his first game that was a third-round pick has the confidence to, tell the quarterback, not show him up, but say, hey, let's go. Let's get on the same page. I think that goes a long way as well. Kind of shows a comfort level on the field that a lot of rookies don't have. There's not a lot of third-round picks doing that to a 3-year vet. And again, it wasn't disrespectful. It was just, hey, let's go, man. Let's get this going. And they connected a few times after that, and I thought that was pretty telling too. Here's more from Davis Mills on Tank Dell.
Yeah, he's got a very good skill and ability to track the ball in there.
Yes, he does. He very, very much does. D'Amico Ryans also impressed with Tank Dell. It's nice hearing D'Amico Ryans talk about rookies. It's not the Bill O'Brien, rookies don't know anything, they don't know a damn thing type of thing. He's down with praising the rookies. And quite frankly, if you saw these rookies, CJ Stroud's really the only one that struggled. The rookies look pretty good. It looks like this rookie class so far so good. Early, but this rookie class so far so good, and there's high hopes for him. Here's D'Amico Ryans talking about the one that shined the most, though, Tank Dell.
It was good to see Tank make some plays. We've seen him make a lot of plays throughout training camp, some of these same plays. So it was good to see him do the same thing here, in a game. So he can be an explosive playmaker for us, and we look forward to him continue to make some of those plays.
Yeah, and I think he will be making lots of them. How many? Who knows? It goes back to the question, how good can Tank Dell be? Case Keenum was asked a question. Case has kind of got a little bit of a funny smartass in him. I like it. Big fan of Case. We got to talk to him on the show. If you missed that, download the Odyssey app. I got to talk to Case a little bit. But here's Case Keenum talking about Tank Dell. He was asked what he thought of him, and we'll end the Tank Dell dialogue before we get into who I think the comp is for Tank Dell. Here's Case Keenum.
What do you think of Tank's night?
What do you think of Tank's night tonight?
It's impressive.
That's one way to look at it.
Appreciate it, Case. Thank you.
I don't know if that's one way to look at it. I think that's the only way to look at it. It was impressive. Very impressive. How good can it get, though? I don't know. I've tried to there's been a lot of conversations about Tank Dell, and let's pretend that Tank Dell is a stud. Let's pretend that we look back and we say, okay, the third round, pick 69 overall, Tank Dell, he is the truth. If Tank Dell is the truth, then I think this question can be answered relatively easy. Why did he fall in the draft? I think if you look at some of the things and some of the things that'll cause you to drop in the draft, I think it's just a perfect storm with him. He's small. A lot of times size leads to you dropping. He comes from the air raid system. I don't think it matters as much, but when you factor in that someone's small and they come from that type of system, maybe they fall. And he played at U of H. U of H has produced some players, but sometimes just when you mix those three things together, maybe it was just a perfect storm of someone falling. Maybe. I've been talking about the Tank Dell comp with a lot of people, and different names keep coming up. And quite frankly, sometimes when I hear these comparisons, I don't know if you've actually watched Tank Dell play. because we've gotten multiple times on the text line like Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill is a world-class, maybe one of the fastest guys in NFL history type of guy. So I don't think Tank Dell is Tyreek Hill. He's a playmaker, but I don't think he's Tyreek Hill. I think that's a bad comparison. I've heard Deshaun Jackson. I don't know that he's like as much of a deep threat as Deshaun Jackson either. My comparison, and this is the best one that I've heard, my best comp for Tank Dell that I could easily see him end up being is Tyler Lockett. Tyler Lockett of the Seattle Seahawks is a really good receiver. I think one of the most underrated receivers in the league the last few years. He had a 100-catch season 3 years ago, 84 catches last year, 73 the year before that, 82. He's never had less than 40 catches in a season. And he's also been good return man, although they've kind of drifted away from using him as much in the return game. But Tyler Lockett is a guy who has a lot of things in common with Tank Dell. The first one might kind of blow your mind. They were both third-round picks and number 69 overall. How about that? 69. Both of them were the 69th overall pick in the draft. Both of them were third-round picks. They're both around 5'8" to 5'10". Lockett is a true 5'10". Tank Dell's listed at 5'10" on the Texans roster. That's not true. He's 5'8". But they're in that 5'8", 5'10" range. Both ran a 4.4. They both had a 10-1 broad jump. Lockett is better on the 10-yard split of the 40. Tank's a little bit better on the 20-yard split. So he gets a little faster, the two. But if you look at all those similarities, you look at how smooth they are running routes, and the fact that sometimes their game speed appears to be even faster than what their 40 time is. Like when you actually see them, both very smooth route runners. Both seem to they can run different types of routes. They can move around a little bit. I think Tyler Lockett's a good comparison. The fact that they were both third-round picks, number 69 overall, is wild. But I do think there are a lot of similarities between Tank Dell and Tyler Lockett. So if you ask me to compare him to someone, I would say Tyler Lockett. And Tyler Lockett is an effing great receiver. If they redid that draft, there's a chance that's a first-round guy. Now, you want like a compliment to Tyler Lockett. So you still want to try to get a DK Metcalf. You still draft a Jackson Smith and Jigba. But if Tank Dell can be a solid number 2 receiver like Tyler Lockett, one of Nick Casario's best draft picks. And this team needs all the young talent they can, and they need help at wide receiver. Tank Dell looks like he's not only going to contribute, he could contribute in a big way. I'm wondering when he's going to go in some fantasy drafts. I think he might be like, if you're trying to do what you do in the middle of the rounds and you try to say, all right, I want to try to get the number 1 receiver on this squad, Tank Dell might be a solid bet. Hell of a debut for Tank Dell. Hell of a debut for D'Amico Ryans. Texans win. Got a lot to get into. The joint practices with Miami are coming up next week. We're also going to get another look at preseason, the dress rehearsal, how CJ going to bounce back. We'll get into the CJ struggles tomorrow, and we'll keep the content coming. Consistency, 11 months, all the time. This is the place to come for the pulse of the Houston Texans. And no matter what happens when it comes to this Texans stuff, we're all in this together. Appreciate everyone for coming through.
Opinions to give without takeaways. If it's up, then it's up. We number 1. You don't need to try your luck. Locker room, yeah, we in the locker room.